Go, and we're live.
Yeah.
Yeah, session 39, I think. I can't quite believe we've been playing this many sessions, but hey, yeah, session 39, The Last Oasis. So, last session, you guys, the sandstorm blew itself out, and you guys trekked on through the desert. When you came over the top of the first dune, I think it was, you found a large obelisk poking up from the ground. I think this wasn't last session, this was the one before. You fought an undead woman and five guards, I can't quite remember, all of whom wore a crest that you recognized. And you kept trekking on. Oh, that was it. They changed into birds and flew away. You believe those were probably hammer birds or spirit birds, which you'd kind of heard of, but were always more superstition than religion. You crossed over another dune, a couple of big dunes, and there were two things that you immediately saw. One was a veritable sea of ruins, as far as the eye could see. There we go. Which freaked out everybody that was with you, because they've all used this this crossing multiple times, and they've never ever seen these ruins before. So that was deeply, deeply freaky. You also saw an army marching. They stopped, and somebody, one of the members of the army carrying a standard bearer, came up to you and asked if you could give them directions to a city that none of you had ever heard of, Tafe. They were all wearing extremely archaic armor, and only when they left and went off did you realize that none of them had shadows.
They also weren't aware of where we were going.
No, they hadn't heard of High Owl.
When we asked them the year, they said some number which isn't the one that we would have used.
Yeah. So it's all been a bit peculiar. You also spotted off in the distance an oasis. Again, one that none of the caravan had ever seen before. So you headed for that. You went and explored a set of ruins and fought some ghouls, and then decided to ignore the other ruins that were all around you, until you eventually reached the oasis. The oasis itself, surrounded by dense bushes. There's a lush and wondrous garden inside, filled with thousands of flowers in a kind of dazzling array of colours. There's birds in the trees and the bushes, singing. The air is full of bird song. In the centre of the garden is a large fountain, tiled in gold and blue, water splashing up, forming delicately shifting patterns way up in the air and then falling back down into the pool below. There is a large mud brick building fairly close to the fountain. And the other side of that, at the other end of the garden, there is a mosque crowned with a golden dome. As you arrived, Ahmed got off his camel, ran forward, fell to his knees, and just cried out, "We're all dead. We're all dead. This is the last oasis. Don't you understand? We're all dead." And as he was doing this, the door to the mud brick opened, and an old man came out, grey beard, lined face, and a blue dolman, which you would all know sort of highlights him as somebody that was brought up in a city rather than in the desert, walks forward and smiles. And that was where we left it. So yeah, the old man walks towards you. As I say, his face is very thin. He appears to be quite frail. He really does appear to be probably in his 80s, maybe even in his 90s. He walks up and says, "Fate's blessings be upon you. Welcome to the Last Oasis. My guests, I would be greatly honoured if you would stay a while and enjoy the hospitality with us before continuing on your journey. We have plenty of space for you, and indeed for your camels. I believe there are some other visitors here who would like to meet you as well."
Thank you very much for your gracious welcome, sir. Please, what is your name?
Rashid. I am. Hello, I've got his name here somewhere. Rashid, my name is Ali Al-Qatar. You are welcome. Umar, come forwards. And he, yeah, sorry, carry on.
You know our names?
Indeed. I have been expecting you for a while. And he greets each of you in turn, and the caravan drivers. He walks over to he walks over to Umar. He walks around, shakes everybody's hands, and from the building behind him, through the door steps a woman. She is very attractive, in her mid-30s, long black hair, dark eyes. She walks towards you. She smiles. Her teeth are brilliant white, really kind of, and when she smiles, she really kind of lights up. So she lights up the room, but you're in an oasis. But you know what I mean.
It's a competition with the sun.
Actually, who's got? I think the person with the highest perception is probably Anwar. So, and I'm going to say, has anybody got who's got passive perception over 12? Or 12 or over?
I've got a 12.
Okay. So if you've got a passive perception of over 12, she looks really familiar. Especially her clothing. There's something about her clothing that's kind of dragging at you. Anwar, you realize that Ahmed cowers as he sees her. You're kind of, everybody's looking at her, and out the corner of your eye you spot an Ahmed who's already kind of on the floor, just kind of looks up, sees her coming, and all of the color just drains from his face.
I think I know who that is.
Yeah. Bear with me half a sec. It's going to be easier to do it this way. Ollie, you have mail. Yeah, so she walks forwards and kind of she sees kind of Ahmed on the ground, and as he looks up to her, she scowls and she walks up and she just spits full in his face, and she turns to face the rest of you, probably largely Rashid, on the grounds that you were the one most commonly addressing ally, and says, "I'm surprised to see you, of all people, in the company of this son of a dog. Perhaps you do not know who he really is?" She looks around the group.
He's the reason you're dead.
Indeed. He's a bandit. He participated in the attack against my caravan. Recognize his cowardly and honorless face anywhere. He left us to die in the desert.
He has proven to be an honourable companion so far.
He proved to be an honourable companion with us until the bandits attacked us. He is a spy to your caravan. And Ahmed is just kind of curled up. You can hear him just about whimpering, "I'm dead, I'm dead."
Not necessarily suited to wage
I can rebuke that, it'll be alright.
Sorry, what was that, Charlie?
I said I can rebuke that, it'll be alright.
That not all are suited to combat.
He certainly was. Alai kind of steps in front of her and puts a hand on her shoulder and just says, "Please, please, my guests, let us not be angry. What is done is done. We have only the fate that fate gives us. We must learn to accept that." She doesn't look overly impressed, but let us prepare for tonight's feast. The arrival of our new friends, the onward journey of these friends, Latifa and your loyal guards, obviously. I would like everybody to make me a perception check, please.
Would you?
I wouldn't mind.
I'm surprised you only get 11. That's 2 ones.
8.
19.
19.
Bell's at
Oh,
score 19.
Bell. I think that is a 19 for you, isn't it? Because it's unmodified. Okay, so
Well,
yeah, Rashid and Anwar, you notice that Latifa. The other thing you see is that stood over by the doors to the building are 5 guys. Again, they are. Sorry, say again.
Don't worry.
I think you probably do know who they are. So they are.
The famous 5.
They are wearing the same uniforms as you, as the caravan guards that you met at Muluk, and also that the kind of zombies or ghouls or undead that attacked you in the desert were wearing. So yeah, they're standing there. They're kind of quiet and you know they don't look threatening. They're smiling. They look quite relaxed. What the two? In fact, anybody that got more than a 10. So Yusef, you spot them as you're kind of looking around. What Rashid and Anwar both spot is that Ali, Latifa, the guards, none of them have shadows.
Ooh, that's not good.
Do we still have shadows?
You do have you got 19, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you all still have shadows.
Our shadows.
Sorry, say again?
Does
Are our shadows in the correct place?
Yep, they are.
does oh, his name's gone. The guy, the
Umar.
guy this woman was.
Umar.
No, not Umar. The
Ali.
other guy, Ally. Does he still have a shadow?
He does not have a shadow, no.
Does
Right
Umar
then.
have a shadow?
No shadow.
Umar, the drivers who came with you, they all
Okay,
have
that's a shame.
shadows. It's the people you have met since you came to the Oasis do not.
That makes sense. Sort of.
I'm glad.
Okay. So yes, he Ali kind of ushers you around and
I'll try at a quiet moment. I'll try and point out to the others that they haven't got shadows.
okay. Ali kind of catches you pointing, and
Pointing.
actually, make me a religion check, Rashid. There is a reason why it's only Rashid.
18.
18. Right. Okay.
Plus 2. 20.
20. Okay. Right. So on a 20, what I'm about to recount to you does not necessarily come as that big a shock. You're just starting to put it together as you're informed of it. Yes, so Ali kind of notices you pointing at kind of the shadows, and he says, "Oh, my friends, yes, this is the Last Oasis. You are not dead, not yet, but you are dying. That is why you are here. You've come here to make a decision, whether to live or whether to die. As long as you cast a shadow, you may return to the world of the living. Once you lose your shadow, you may only go on to the afterlife." Umar just collapses at this and falls to his knees, saying, "Fate, fate, why have you deserted me? Why have you abandoned me?"
And while we'd mutter something about the sandstorm.
And Ahmed just sits quietly staring at his shadow on the ground, a smile spreading over his face, and he's just like bending forwards, kissing the sand. Ali says, "You please come into the Oasis. We will feast in a little while. You are free to wander about as you will, but for your own sake, try not to drink. Please do not drink the holy water in the fountain if you wish to return to the world of the living. Drinking the holy water will completely remove any desire you have to return. But there is a trough," and he points over, and you just see over to the side. There's a big trough, and there's a I'm trying to think, is it a well or is it a yes, there is. There's a trough, and there's a small well at the end. He says the trough and the well over there will give you normal water that you can drink. But if you decide not to go further on, then the fountain is all yours.
with my religion roll of sorry, with my religion roll of whatever it was.
20.
Yeah, you got 20.
I'm glad someone's got a brain. Do his words ring true?
This is it's more mysticism, and it's more mysticism than religion. It's stories from the campfire from the campfire of the tribe. It's the things that the Hakima, the wise women would sometimes mutter about. The Last Oasis, where you can go and people can sometimes go there and decide to either fight their way back to the world of the living or continue on to paradise. So yeah, it everything that he's saying rings true, of the little rumors and snippets that some of which you know quite well, and some of which, but all of which, it's almost a bit like, it's not like Father Christmas, that's too much, but it's one of those things that nobody really quite believes. So yeah, kind of more. I mean, there are people that genuinely believe it. For most people, it's kind of mysticism and superstition rather than kind of firmly held religious belief. Certainly, there are places in the Pantheist League where such thoughts would you get you burned at the stake as a heretic. But
so Loch Ness Monster,
Yeti, yeah, that kind of. But in line with your religion, but kind of bolted onto the edge of it, kind of thing. But yes, it does sound. It sounds like stuff that you've come across before.
so
I think probably Yusef wouldn't have come across it though, because it is very much kind of desert dwelling stuff,
Mythology type stuff.
yeah.
So you say we have a decision. As far as I'm aware, most of us are keen to carry on with life. Why would we decide otherwise?
And our journey.
Well, if you wish to return to your bodies, then stay. You have days here before anything happens. Stay, eat, feast. We celebrate Latifah's passing and that of her guards and their onward journey. But stay, celebrate, and we will rest and then try to find your way back. We can tell you what little we know. Come, at least water your animals.
Is there any way to test for water?
Sorry?
Is there any way to test water for poison and other stuff, or impurities, whatever else?
I don't know. Have you got purify food? Have you got purify food and drink, or detect poison as a spell? Is probably. I mean, you can smell it and make a nature roll.
Yeah, that's not under a lot of medicine roll. If you to a camel and then do a medicine roll.
No, kind of nature or survival rolls. If anybody wants to make a nature or survival roll,
Only got a +2 survival.
Yeah, it's survival.
go and have a look at the look at the trough and.
Yeah, 3, so 5.
You rolled a 3.
Yeah, so she got a 5. What did you get, Charlie?
I haven't rolled yet.
Hello,
Yeah,
Coach.
I made 8.
Honestly, as far as you can tell, the water seems fine. There's nothing outstanding
Crystal clear.
about it. It is. I mean, it is clear water. You pump it up, and it is genuinely clear water. You can't make out anything in it that would be harmful to you. It looks as clear and as sparkling as that in the fountain. You're muted, mate.
Well, I think we learn what we can from this encounter. There only seems to be one way through it, so on we shall go.
It does seem like the best way. We don't want to dally about here.
Sweeter. I decided that Titus was much sweeter. Sorry, my brother's being helpful. Thank you, brother.
Okay, so do you guys want to? I mean, you've said you wander over to the troughs. The drivers are looking around you. I think somebody may need to help Umar up. He's pretty shocked and terrified.
Yeah, Rashid will give him a hand.
Yep.
And sort of say something along the lines of, have courage, all is not lost.
Okay, you kind of help him forwards. The camels kind of sniff the water in the trough, and yep, and they're straight in.
Am I the camera facing the other way?
It's fine, we can watch Titus.
Am I audible still?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Hello, Matt.
Okay, so
Hello. Can you come say hello?
he's
Hello.
fine where he is. Yeah, so you guys come in. Are people drinking the water?
Yeah, I'll drink the water.
I fill my canteen back up, or I threw it over the sand earlier.
I mean, you guys have spent you've come out of a sandstorm. You've marched
Maybe.
3/4 of a day. You've marched kind of 3/4 of a day. You are you're pretty thirsty. So if you're going to fill your canteen,
Yeah.
I'm guessing you're also going to take a drink. Is there anybody that isn't going to drink?
Don't think so.
I wouldn't think so.
Okay.
Rashid will encourage Umber to drink as well.
Okay. Yeah. Umar
Sorry.
pretty much just like splashes water on his face. He's looking around blearily, and that medallion he's got, he's kind of grasped tightly in his hand.
Can we check if he's got a shadow before we drink?
Yeah, maybe a perception check or an No, maybe an investigation check.
Investigation check, 16.
Okay. Yeah, Umar's shadow's fine. Your shadow is fine. Not entirely sure that it's difficult to tell. Possibly Ahmed's is less solid than yours.
Ooh.
Is Ahmed the in charge guy?
Ahmed is the second in command. He's the one that Latifa says was
Was the
helping
killer.
the bandits.
Traitorous, we'll call him.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, she.
Umar's the in charge guy.
Umar's the in charge guy.
Yeah.
Ahmed's the guy. Ahmed's the.
Cool, yep.
That's the guy who looked relieved at being told they could stay.
He looked relieved, having been told that he wasn't dead, and was remarkably attentive to his shadow.
Is Ahmed the guy who ran off during the sandstorm?
He is, yes.
Hmm.
So yeah, you guys are sorting out the camels, drinking. shaking remains of sand out of your clothes. But the air is fragrant. It's I mean, it's not humid, but by comparison to the desert, by the comparison to what you've just gone through, it's nicer to breathe. It's nicer to smell.
Hope we're not polluting it too much.
No, it seems to be okay. So yeah, as you're doing this,
Simon's just said windows.
yeah, it sounds like he's having real problems getting on.
He's just doing the big update that I just got through.
Oh no.
In that case,
Hopefully he'll look as comfortable as Titus does.
hopefully we sit in a chair.
Yeah, so as you guys are sorting out your camels, I don't know who spots it first, but there's a guy comes across early 30s, fairly lanky, narrow face, black hair, wearing kind of studded leather armor. He's got a flowing red cape on, which kind of is attached to his shoulders. He's got a red keffiyeh with a gold aggle, the rings that sit above it. A scimitar, kind of multiple knives attached to him, and he kind of walks across from the side of the same building, smiling towards you. Rashid and Anwar, I'm going to ask who's got the higher charisma.
Oh, definitely Rashid. Yeah. Mine's an 8, so.
Okay. So yeah, he kind of makes a bit of a beeline for Rashid, but he's looking your way as well quite a lot, Anwar. He walks over and says, "Greetings, fellow warriors. May your courage and honor guide your way, strengthen your resolve. May fate smile upon you and grant you victory in battle."
Greetings to yourself. Have you been here for long? And Rashid checks to see if he's got the shadow.
Greetings to yourself. Have you been here for long?
Ah,
I speak English really well.
yeah, he's just you're very quiet.
There we go. Is that better?
That's much better.
But we now can't see Titus.
I know, I'm trying to sort it so you can.
Titus alone.
That's better. Hey.
Yeah, you notice he has no shadow either. He says, "Indeed I have. Indeed I have. My name is Aziz. I am Ali's son. Come. Make yourselves at home." He's looking over your weapons. You must have stories to tell.
One or two.
We should tell them tonight. How did you come to be in the desert?
We were on a mission. We were guarding a caravan.
Caravan guards. Were you attacked?
On occasion.
I think perhaps a sandstorm had something to do with it.
A sandstorm. Oh well.
As odd as it sounds, yes.
You see. Still, you were braving the wild desert. You were guarding the camels and the merchandise. These are brave things. I was once the commander in an army. I could tell you stories. I could tell you tales. Incredible encounters. Your name is...
I am Rashid. Anwar. Davis' character and Simon Clark's character.
Yazid.
Izzy. I don't like names. Now that I've gone and said that, what's the law like on names and power, etc., and telling them to dead people?
Sorry, what was the... I got the end of that, not the beginning.
Sorry. What's the law like on giving names to dead people?
What's the law like on giving names?
N-A-R-E, not N-A-W.
Ah.
Oh, you're trying to work out who he is.
No, what's the... I can't think of another word for law. L-O-R-E. That kind of law, that kind of mythology.
Okay. I heard what you said. I'm not quite sure I understand what the question is.
Because I've just given all of our names to essentially a dead person.
Ah.
Oh, I see.
Ah. Given that you're stood in the Last Oasis, a place of old wives' tales and fireside ghost stories,
Anything.
yeah, could be anything. Normally, it probably wouldn't worry you, but yes, it may pull you up short, suddenly thinking, "Oh my life! If this is true, what else is also true?" And that could be a little worrying. Yeah. Does anybody else want to? Go away. In jokes in the chat. Sorry, Belle, what were you saying?
I asked who broke Louis. I can't see the chat. That's hardly fair.
I'll tell you about it another time. Okay, so he launches into this story, seeing as you're evidently not going to. Telling you about an encounter he had once with 5 hostile giants in the middle of the desert. If you were really believing him, he had nothing on him but a small fruit knife which was blunt. You know, the tale is extraordinary, a lot of fun with a lot of color and very well told. Who knows, it may even have some truth in it as he faces down these 5 huge giants, wounding them mortally.
The boy scout of the group thinks he should have been prepared.
From as he's kind of halfway through this, from the bushes, the far side of the fountain from where you are, over nearish, not right by the mosque, but kind of over nearish the mosque, there's a big a huge big kind of area of bushes. There's got to be a name for that, but hey. Yeah, a voice comes out, quite a deep woman's voice, saying, "Aziz, do not bore our guests with your endless stories. Introduce them to me instead." There's a tall, kind of slender woman standing in the shade of the trees. And she's clad head to toe in a flowing white robe. She has a thin veil across her mouth. So there's kind of only kind of this much of her. You can see her eyes and her nose, and then kind of there's a fairly obvious. Those of you that are kind of looking at her, she's obviously got kind of really strong red lipstick underneath this kind of quite flimsy veil. Aziz doesn't look impressed. He kind of stares around and kind of gives a kind of harumph and walks back towards the building. And Alai, who's been stood there listening to the story with, should we say, patience, says, Farida. Now the meeting is complete. This is Farida. She also lives at the Oasis.
I will introduce myself and my companions.
Okay. Right. I'm going to pause there for a moment because
I've arrived.
you have. You've missed quite a lot.
We all have shadows, though.
You do all have shadows.
Why is there nothing but Belinda's bed there? Oh no, there's a dog. Okay.
Cat, actually. Titus.
It's a cat. Okay, right, fair enough.
I'm sure Titus feels rightly offended by that remark.
No.
Titus in Sydenham, I'm in Forest Hill. Big difference.
Right, so I'm trying to think of how to quickly recap.
Is everybody dead yet?
No.
No.
Well,
It's going to be a longer recap than you thought.
yeah, that's a more interesting question than you might think it is. Does somebody want to do a quick recap?
Okay. Is Yazid dead yet?
That
Wow.
is a more interesting question than you might think.
Right. So, did everybody decide to use Yazid as bait for a trap or something?
No.
No, it wasn't even red. It wasn't even a red dwarf style.
No. There's no Daves.
I mean,
All right.
if there were, it might be a different story.
Does somebody want to give a quick a quick overview of where you are and who you've met?
I nominate Ollie.
Pardon?
Ollie.
Oh,
Fine.
Ollie, do you want to give Simon a quick overview
Yeah.
of what
So-
you've learned about your surroundings so far?
So
What you
we're at the
been told?
Last Oasis. We're correct. And there's a guy called
Alai
Alai, yeah. A guy called Alai, and it's like, welcome to the Last Oasis. Da, 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 da. A lady turned up, who had no shadow, neither did Alai, and she spat at
Ahmed.
Ahmed, and we realized this was the lady who attacked us in the desert, but not actually the lady, but and turns out that Ahmed may or may not have been a spy for the bandits, which is why she died. We also saw the 5 caravan guards. They're also dead, but they seem more happy. We have shadows, they do not. Rashid pointed this out, and Ali basically explained that we aren't dead yet, but we're dying. Take of that what you will. And we can make the decision. Basically, we have to decide basically whether we want to go on to the afterlife. But as long as we've got a shadow, we can go back. Everyone's shadow, I believe, so far is looking fine, except Ahmed's, which perhaps seems a bit fainter. And then we've recently met Ali's son, whose name I've already forgotten.
Aziz.
Yeah, I'm going to refer to him as Quark, who is basically this. I fought 5 giants with only a fruit knife kind of guy, and to be honest, that actually sounds like the kind of thing he would say. Yeah, one of those
Right.
kinds of people, and he's just telling us all these amazing stories at the moment.
Okay. Are you guys telling me we're kind of in the Qadim version of purgatory?
Yeah.
With
Ish.
a decision to make.
I told you it was a more interesting question than you thought it would be.
Oh dear. Right. Well, I vote for going back.
The only thing that I will the only things I will add were there is a fountain between the mosque and this kind of mud building.
That's it.
Alai says not to drink the water from the fountain if you wish to go back. If you drink the water from the fountain, you will lose any interest in going back. And therefore, he's pointed you to there's a trough and a well where you've watered the camels and drunk and refilled your water skins. And that's off to sort of one side of this kind of large mud building. And then, just as Aziz was telling his story, a very tall, thin woman in white with a veil, obviously wearing kind of really heavy lipstick underneath the veil, stepped forward from the trees and interrupted Aziz's story of 5 giants and a small fruit knife and leaping into battle, mortally wounding them, and has asked Alai to introduce her, and Alai has introduced her as Farida, a Hakima or a wise woman, and he said the party is complete. He has invited all of you to a feast that night in order to celebrate Latifa and her guards passing on from passing on to the afterlife, which they are going to do.
Okay. Louis,
Yeah.
can I summon my gen? Does it appear?
Sorry?
Can I summon my gen? Does it appear?
You can.
Okay, I'm going to ask. I am going to ask if he knows if we're on the same plane.
He looks slightly confused.
Did he have to come? Did he make the same journey that he makes all the time to come to me, or did it feel different?
It felt different.
Okay. Right. Okay. I'm going to ask him to stay close.
He's more than willing to.
Does the gen have a shadow?
The gen does have a shadow, yes.
At a suitable lull in the conversation, or a point where I think I can get away with zoning out, I'm going to converse with Sagira on thanks of this.
Okay. I shall have to ponder that while I ask what would other people like to do. So I really should have done a copy of this to show you. So yeah, the oasis is it's a biggish size oasis. There's a golden domed mosque which is, oh blimey, that's larger than I thought it was actually. About 30 feet square.
To go for the screen.
So there's this golden domed mosque which is about 30 feet square. The fountain, I mean, like I say, that's 20 feet round. Blue tiles with gold trim. It's really ornate. Like I say, the water's bouncing around and flickering, forming patterns in the air. So kind of out, if you were to come out of the front door of the mosque, the fountain would be kind of 10 foot from you. About the same distance, maybe a little further on, there's a large 40-foot square mud. It's not a mud hut. It's a mud building. You can see kind of the wooden supports sticking out through it, but it's a properly well-made building, and to one side of that there is the trough and the well. It kind of backs up into some of the bushes that surround the oasis. The other side there is just this amazing garden full of just really amazing coloured flowers. It's just like a riot of colour, and it's not at all what you'd expect to see. And then, so you've got the mosque, the fountain, this building, kind of the huts over there. Off to the left-hand side of that, there is this huge, big cluster of some trees and some fairly sort of thick bushes and foliage, which is where Farida the Hakima came from. There's an open area in front, so, and then there's sort of more bushes around the outside, and then you're off into the desert itself.
Okay, I'm going to agree to go to the party. Then I'm going to ask if there's somewhere I can rest.
Does it count as real rest?
Give me a minute. There's only one way to find out. Certainly the water felt very refreshing. So you say to Eli, you know, I'm quite tired after the journey. Is there somewhere I could rest? And he says, certainly, if you come through into the building itself, and come into my home.
Said the spider to the fly.
Well, now interestingly, at the point when you say this, Umar, who's been kind of just, like I say, he's been clutching this amulet and just kind of staring round him. Ali's trying to calm him down the best he can, but he's definitely kind of fairly shocked. And at the point where you say, "Oh, come into the house, come into the house," he says, "Wait," and he hurries over to one of the camels. There's a small bag there, and he pulls out some cakes that he's got. They're kind of travel cakes, but they're all right. They're not kind of, you know what I mean. So he comes over with these cakes and breaks it and hands pieces round to people. In particular, making sure that that Ali takes one. And he says, we must share salt. And Ali smiles and nods and says, certainly. My home is your home. I am pleased that fate brought you to my doorstep. And he takes some of the cake and eats it and nods in his appreciation. Umar does the same, and you can see at that point Umar start to relax. So will everybody take and eat the cake, or?
Yep.
Yeah, I'll take the cake. And eat it.
Yeah.
Emma wouldn't eat it straight away, but it takes some.
Okay. So the caravan drivers come over as well and take the cake from Umar and eat it. And there is, you can feel with the caravan drivers that now they have established a bond of salt that is that's definitely calmed them down quite a lot. They're far more relaxed about staying here. And obviously, you know, the bond of salt, I think we talked about it before, the bond of salt, not only is it pretty much immutable in enlightened society, but it's also, it lasts for 3 days. It's believed that it takes 3 days for salt to pass through the body. So as long as you have this bond of salt, that lasts for 3 days. But yes, so Ali beckons you in, and says particularly to Yazid, he says this is where we will be eating. you may rest outside, or this may not be the quietest place, but you may rest here, or perhaps in the garden, if you would prefer that. So yeah, as you walk into the to the hut, there's a kind of large dining hall. It's almost the whole length of the building, so it's quite a sizable.
Okay, I'm going to take my lead from Umar and see what Umar is doing. Is he going into the building? Does he appear to want to rest in the building, or?
Yeah, Umar's quite happy to go into the building. There's a large low table. There's various kind of cushions around it, and Umar, he does look quite shaken by the whole thing, but certainly the sight of a comfortable, not exactly familiar but normal surrounding is definitely to his liking. So yeah, he kind of sits down and kind of looks around and goes and sits down and finds a position where he can kind of get himself comfortable.
How's the deal doing?
Damn, I wish I'd. Yes, what the thief that I always forget is about. Adil is. I tell you what, you tell me how you think Adil is doing.
Okay. Compared to like, he's not taking it. I wouldn't say not much better, but the amount of weird stuff that's been happening to him lately.
Yeah,
he's kind of just taking it on the chin, like he looks like a bit like shocked and confused at first, but very soon he goes back to the same old Adil.
Yeah. Okay. No, that sounds good.
Waking up in random places and the weird creatures attacking him. He's just.
It's not the strangest place he's been in for a while.
No.
Yeah. No. So yeah.
Cool.
Okay. I'm really going to sheepishly sort of like wandering just behind Umar and watch very carefully to see where he goes and what he does. Is there any chance I can have an Arcana check for the way we should behave here and the way we shouldn't behave? If there's anything we really shouldn't do?
I wouldn't say you want an Arcana roll on that. I mean, generally,
religion.
I would say. I mean, in terms of as far as the story of the Last Oasis is one that probably as might just have vaguely sat on the outskirts of something that Yusef has just about heard. The rest of you are not aware of it. For Rashid in the Desert Tribes, the story of the Last Oasis is it's fireside talk. It is mystic superstition. It is it's something that occasionally one of the older women or one of the wise women possibly even will talk about. You're never really sure that anybody entirely believes it. It's one of those kind of things. So everything that you've seen, it appears to be an enlightened place. You know, there's a mosque. You've shared a bond of salt. Certainly, Ali, when he's come out to greeted you in the name of fate. All of the social cues and all of the language that you're getting, this feels remarkably like kind of any oasis you'd go to if it wasn't for the fact that some of the people don't have shadows, and you've just been told that your bodies are dying and you have the choice of whether to go back to them or to stay here. So it's a bit unsettling, but in terms of social cues, I would suspect that you would just there's
What I'm
nothing in
looking
Arcana
for,
or religion
yeah,
particularly.
what I'm really looking for here is, is there a certain way? Is there a certain things we should not do because it will mean we will stay here?
You wouldn't know that, but you've been told the only thing is not to drink the water from the fountain. Rashid did have a point once she'd introduced everybody and spoken to everybody and introduced everybody to Aziz, where she suddenly went, hang on, I've given everybody's name. There's a whole stack of weird bullshit superstitions about the power of your name being taken. On any other given day, it wouldn't frighten you in the slightest. In here, in this place, in this time. Yeah. It crosses your mind a little more than it otherwise would do. But you give me a straight intelligence roll.
Okay. Roll that. Roll 7, and it's what, +5 for intelligence, isn't it?
Intelligence, yeah. So
yeah,
12.
so 12. So maybe not so much.
There is nothing. I mean, it primarily depends on whether or not you believe what Elias told you or not. If you believe what Elias told you, and he seems perfectly nice, he seems very welcoming. If he believes what Elias, if you believe what Elias told you, then you'll be fine, provided you don't drink the water from the fountain, and as long as you've got a shadow. If you disbelieve that everything that he's told you, if you think he's trying to trick you in any way, then don't drink anything, don't eat anything. But then again, you've already had the water from the well, not from the fountain. Yeah.
I point out his name sounds like both the word ally and also lie.
Did anybody get that?
Yeah,
No.
just think about the name being like ally and ally.
Sorry, Belle, you're...
Lie being like the opposite of truth.
Ah. It is also, though, a name that you've heard before.
Yeah.
It's not an uncommon name.
No.
None of the names are particularly uncommon names.
Right. How's that? Is that any better?
Yeah, a bit. Yeah. I think pretty much you're on your own on that one. It's one of those, if you believe him, then you're fine. If you don't, do you get divine sense, Rashid?
I believe so.
If I can find my player's handbook.
Yes, I do.
Okay. In which case, what I will say is that what can you tell from your divine sense?
As an action, no location of any celestial, fiend, or undead within 60 feet. Not in total cover. Until the end of your next turn. You also detect the presence of any place or object that has been desecrated.
Okay.
Hallow spell. You can use this feat 5 times and recover expensive uses after a long rest.
Okay, I think I got that. Your microphone is definitely a bit odd. But okay, so that wasn't necessarily what I was thinking. You don't get just the option to
Is the microphone better like this?
spot. It is then.
Okay, interesting. So having the camera on the back affects microphone.
Yeah, it's still a bit cut up, but it was better than it was. Okay, so you don't get a straight thing where, as a paladin, you get to know whether or not anybody's good or evil, do you?
No.
I've got detect evil. Hang on one moment.
The question, well, I suppose it depends on whether or not you want to use it.
I mean, you can also just, to some extent, make an insight check, but
You could make an insight check.
I've got purify food and drink. And I've got protection from good or evil.
Aha. Okay.
And sanctuary.
Okay.
And shield of faith.
Okay. So I'm going to say, do you want to make an insight check? Anybody that wants to make an insight check, I would say in particular, I mean, Yazid needs to make an insight check because you're definitely decidedly nervous about this.
Louis,
Yep,
can I also send my gen off for a spell?
you can.
Oh, come on, I rolled that. Come on, behave. Thank you. 8. Let me just sort the insight check out first. That's not going to get me anywhere. That's only 11. I want to go and get a second level divination spell.
Okay.
Detect thoughts.
Bloody hell.
I rolled 19.
Okay, I shall come back to you in a minute then. Is anybody else making those checks or not? I don't mind it, whatever you think your characters would do.
I think I'd do an insight check as a cleric. Well, that will definitely count then. That's 23.
Okay. Sorry, which spell?
Detect thoughts.
Detect. That's why I'm looking at div. Detect, detect. Look at 2 flaming pages. You can read the thoughts of certain creatures when you cast a spell in your action on each. Okay, I'll tell you what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, so who was it that got a 23 on their insight?
Yusuf.
Charlie did.
Yusuf. Okay. In which case, I'll tell you, you guys can work out, depending on how far down the scale you are, how much of this you pick up. There is nothing in Ally's manner, nothing in what he said, which makes you question anything about it. He seems to be very genuine. He seems to be very welcoming. There's nothing there that makes you go, I'm not sure. Aziz is...
could Anwar make an insight check about him?
You may. You may try.
Yeah. Where's that? Oh, actually, insight's not that bad. 14.
14. Yeah, I mean, he's full of his own bullshit.
That's kind of what Anwar was looking for, really.
But, so, I mean, the story about the giants, no idea. It's almost certainly it's almost certainly bullshit, but how much of it is bullshit, whether or not he fought a giant one-on-one with a sword, possibly. 5 with a fruit knife, no. but he doesn't seem. You're not getting a vibe that he's necessarily dishonest in terms of he doesn't seem to want you any ill, and he certainly. You kind of get the feeling that his whole attitude. He's definitely drawn towards Anwar and Rashid. Possibly. It depends on what Yusef does as to whether or not he's drawn towards Yusef. He might well be. Actually, you've got the sign of Najam on you, haven't you? Yeah. So he would probably have made a note of that and would be likewise trying to dig in. But, you know, as far as the caravan drivers and the two scholars are concerned, yeah, no, he's not really all that. Doesn't seem to be all that interested in you. Right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say this would be a great time for me to take a 5-minute break, grab a beer, read up on that spell and have a bleeding think about it, and also work out what, if anything, Shagira knows about the Last Oasis.
I'll tell you what, before we check, do you want me to see if I get the spell first? I've got a 75% chance of getting it.
Yeah, go for it.
I could fail. No.
Okay. In which case, I'll take a couple of minutes break, and
James can decide if Barbosa's got a shadow.
Barbosa has a shadow.
That's all right.
Hey, I'll be back in a couple.
Yep.
Linda, are you there?
Yes.
What do you think about that Nordic thing? I asked Fora if she wanted to go, but she said no.
Nordic thing?
Yeah, the oh god, I've forgotten the name of the bloody writer. You know the thing I messaged you about? Neil Gaiman, yes.
Did you find out what tickets cost?
£15.
I will probably leave it then.
Why do you say this? Because you can't afford the ticket?
Yeah.
Because I could make it an early birthday present. Have a think about how much you want to go, all right? And then let me know.
That sounds good.
Right. If you don't go, of course. If you don't go, of course, I will be asking Switzerland whether or not I should tie you up, throw you in the car. Okay? Right, I'm going to grab a drink. I'll be back in a minute.
Cool.
Stop biting your nails. Don't stick your tongue out.
worry, Charlie. That's a sign of affection. She does
Is
it to
it?
me all the time.
One of the chat-up lines, is it?
Well, I don't think it's quite that extreme.
Oh, right, okay. Is that what happened to the green pen?
It's died. This is a blue one. I can't find the green pen.
I mean, you chewed it, nibbled it up to the end.
Yeah.
Surely she'd be like that elephant then. You know, covered in blue or green.
I'm researching how to make children right.
We tell them all the answers.
Teach them.
Or rather, how to, if I had to give you the technical terminology, I'm looking at how I can improve their fine motor skills.
I'll strap them down and push them down the hill.
Buy them a better fine motor.
Yeah. There you go.
What? There was logic to that. You cannot deny that.
All right, was good. That was good.
I can ignore it.
Get rid of these analog motors and get them a stepper motor.
That would improve his gross motor skills.
All right. Well, Simon's got one of them.
Digital motor.
Can't they just get a smaller one? That'd be a fine motor, wouldn't it?
Simon,
Yes.
how hard do you want to push this spell?
It's an invisible Louis. Oh, there he is.
Sorry. I don't want to push it that hard. I'm just trying to detect. I'm just trying to detect what their general thoughts are, whether or not.
So you've just got, yeah, you're not going to push it because it's surface thoughts you can pick up almost immediately.
Yeah.
Or if you probe deeper, they get a wisdom saving throw, and whether it works or not, they know about it. So I just wanted to check before whether or not I needed to work out how that was going to work, or whether or not you were just going to go for surface thoughts.
Just surface thoughts, because I want to get an idea of if someone's trying to trick us into staying.
Okay. Okay. Okay, I think I know how that works. I've still got to try and work out what the hell Shagira would know.
It does say that on an extra action, I can sort of like detect thoughts of somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would take it that basically you could look around and just gently stroke your thoughts over the top of whatever they're doing and pick up stuff. But yeah, if you're going to push further in, then it's going to be harder to do that.
Yeah. I'm also trying to detect whether or not they're human.
Aha.
Because I'm wondering whether or not we're dealing with deities here. Or other planar creatures.
Okay. Okay. Oh, I thought I'd got this much better in my head than I actually have, but it's
You keep an awful lot of information in your head. I'm always very impressed.
That's not the trouble. The trouble is getting it back out.
yeah. Keeping it in, keeping all of it in my head is quite a lot of it sitting on paper at the moment.
I mean, all of it being relevant. Ask him
true.
about coffee and he'll be able to tell you.
And sausages.
I don't know that much about sausages.
Well, he's the versed with them.
You guys are being mean.
And they normally
What's your
are.
problem? Yeah. What's your problem?
You for once.
I wouldn't bother.
Standing up to you against these horrible bullies.
Yeah, thanks for all the Captain Quark jokes as well. That was not.
It was helping.
Has everybody here played Ratchet and Clank at some point or not?
Nope.
I don't think I have for a while.
Yep.
I've been playing the new one, so
Ooh.
Oh, I'm gonna have to come down over Christmas, then we can spend a weekend playing. Well, spend a couple of days solid playing that.
yeah, it's pretty good. I'm not sure I like it more than the originals, but it's not a bad remake.
Yeah, I liked what they did with Nexus. It just felt like it wasn't that much of a game and a bit more of a here we go, here's a concept.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello. Hello. Right. Sorry?
Sorry, ask after.
She's got a hand up. I'm asking.
I'm stretching. I said
Please,
I will ask.
please. And the mic on that thing's terrible.
Sorry.
I didn't know she was that bad.
I mean, it may have the sound quality may have something to do with this mic guy sat on it. I mean, can't be helping.
I give up.
Yeah.
Right.
I would sit closer to the machine if I could, but I'm trying to mark at the same time. And now don't start talking about Mike and Marks, James.
Do you know what? More than one person called Mark then? Do you have more than one person called Mark there?
Clark, should I remind you that you're about a half-hour, 40-minute walk away or about a 10-minute drive?
Fine by me if you want to come over. If you miss me that much, Belinda.
I now have multiple sets of kitchen knives here. I bought one set and my brother has bought one for me.
That's fine. You know, if you really miss me that much, you can come over if you like. But I am an attached man now.
That's
Do you
fine.
have,
Patch certain parts.
do you have cake to cut?
Before you start carving bits out of me, you have to get Fiona's permission first.
Okay. I'm
Is
sure I
that
can
Princess
Right.
Fiona?
Before this goes on any further. Okay, so okay, I want to get a quick idea of where people are. So Umar and Yazid are both inside the house in the large dining hall. Okay, so where's Rashid?
Rashid is sitting outside and just enjoying the
Ambience.
purgatory, sort of a thing from old wives' tales, so to speak. So it's just quite impressive just to quietly observe it.
I'm trying to work out how on earth you're going to try and tell anybody about this when you finally get back, because they'll never believe you. Okay, no, that's cool.
Oh, sorry, and also to keep a slight eye out just to make sure trouble doesn't.
No, he's inside with the others.
Where
Right.
do you get this terrible sense of humour from?
Yusef,
Yeah.
whereabouts are you?
I'll be standing just outside, pacing up and down, muttering a few prayers. What else would I be doing?
No, that sounds good. That sounds good. James, where's Nabil?
Nabil is probably trying to converse with Sagira.
Okay, so outside or inside?
Probably outside and quiet spot around the Oasis.
Okay. Anwar.
and was talking to the 5 guards, if they're still around.
They are.
Yeah, he's kind of just like, speaking to them. He would also ask them if they drank the water from the fountain.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, he's just basically talking to them and stuff.
Okay, and Yazid is indoors. Okay, so Yazid, it's a second level splash. It's not going to take. It's going to take less than a minute. So your gen scurries off. You sit down with Yazid. Adil's over by has found himself somewhere comfortable. He's got to be said, muttering to himself about being somewhere at least comfortable and civilized, although he does look slightly nervous, even though, as we said, it's possibly not the weirdest thing that's happened to him in the last month or two. And at least he knows how he came to be here and hasn't just woken up here. Yeah, so half a sec. Yeah, okay. So you cast detect thoughts. So both Ali and Aziz head off through a door on the far side of the dining room. And you can see them moving around in there. They're preparing food for the feast. It looks as if they're going back to doing that. Surface thoughts are quite relaxed. There's so Ali is quite relaxed. He's quite happy. He's generally focused on the cooking, and he wants to make sure that the meal is as good as it can be.
Everybody say hello to my mum.
Hi, June.
Hello, June.
Hello.
Hello, June. Say hello to
There's
the
Belle
internet.
down there.
Okay,
Right,
hello.
that's Louis' friend Charlie.
Hello, Charlie.
That's Louis' son James, who's cut his video off. That's James's friend Ollie, and that, of course, is Louis.
Oh, right.
All right.
I didn't realise you were doing a thing with you.
That's all right. That's fine. I'll come and talk to you in a minute. All right. Sorry, Louis.
No, that's all right. So yeah, Allies. Like I say, he's generally busying himself about the meal. His thoughts are very much on how does he make this really nice, really special. You're getting a certain degree of kind of warm and fuzzy from him about occasionally kind of he's happy for Latifah, for the guards. Those kind of he's just kind of generally busying himself about it, but seems to be kind of really genuinely trying to make the meal as nice as possible. Aziz is slightly distracted. He's both aware that he should be cooking this meal, and he needs to focus on cooking this meal, and Honor states that he should be cooking this meal, but the stories of battles are flowing to mind, and a curiosity in particular about Rashid is crossing his mind. He's kind of eager to find out what he's doing. Yeah, Farida is still outside.
Farida is still outside.
Farida is still outside. She's going around talking to the
Not
others
so worried
outside.
about her.
Okay.
So there's nobody actively appears to be plotting against us.
Nope. Not that you're aware of, not that you've seen.
Is there anyone that doesn't seem like they're human?
Nope.
Anyone got anything else we want me to pry about while I've got the spell going?
How we make the decision, and if we're actually going to be allowed to leave.
Is this magical, or is it the journey to the death, or whatever?
Guys, the way the spell works is I pick up surface thoughts to start a conversation with the two of them.
Well, I'm sorry,
Right.
I'm outside. I just remembered, so I.
So yeah, somebody start a conversation with them.
I'm outside, so
Oh God, I'll start the conversation then. Am I the only one that went inside?
You and Umar, I think, yeah.
Right, okay.
Unless Nabil did.
I will start the
No,
conversation.
Nabil,
Then this is a rather strange place. Where does the water from the fountain come from, and why would it get us to stay here? There we go.
Okay, so Ali says this whole place, the way that it was explained to me by the Guardian of the Oasis before I came was that none of this really quite exists, which is strange. It's been my home for, well, a long time. Time doesn't work quite the way you think it does here. But I don't know where the water comes from. What I know is that when we have visitors who have arrived and who choose not to go back, not to take the journey back, not to fight their way through the ruins and back to their lives, when they drink of the water, it clouds their mind. It doesn't cloud their mind. It takes away that desire, and then their shadow will fade and they are free to go. They're free to move on.
So to ask another silly question, if you want to go back, what is the best way to do that?
And he and Z's swap looks. Neither of us have been back. I think perhaps Farida may know the way back. She explores outside the oasis, where we do not. But
okay, while I've still got the spell up and running,
I'm just gonna. Aziz cuts across him, and just says, "Honestly, Father, she cannot be trusted." And so I without going through the whole conversation, because you've got this detect thoughts going at the same time.
Yeah.
How long does detect thoughts last?
It
Up
lasts
to a minute. So you probably get, by the time you're having this conversation, you're probably getting towards the end of the spell.
Yeah.
You kind of get the feeling that Aziz really doesn't trust Farida. He doesn't like her. He's really quite anti her. Ali is embarrassed that he doesn't know the way back.
Right.
He also doesn't particularly trust Farida, but he is aware that she is the only person that would know. All they know is that there is a way back going through the ruins.
Okay. Have I got time to quickly pop out and just quickly quiz Farida about the way back?
You can try. You'd have to kind of excuse yourself quite quickly. You may not get in a complete quizzing, but at least you'll manage to get kind of a surface thoughts.
Okay. Yeah, I'll try and do that. I'll excuse myself very quickly, bundle outside, and very quickly bundle into a conversation with Frida and say, "Do you know the way to go back?"
Okay. Give me half a minute because you've been in.
Yep.
So I'm just trying to go round. So Nabil is talking to Sagira. Sagira is often amused. A lot of the conversations you have with Sagira are, she is a very curious person, a very interested personality. She does get very curious, and she is surprised to be here. She has heard rumors of the Last Oasis. Nothing that she has heard leads you to believe that anything you've been told so far is necessarily wrong. But even with all of her knowledge and the time she spent doing things and learning things, she's not aware of... She's not aware of the details of this place. Just, she would have called it myth. Similar to Rashid, she would have called it myth if you'd asked about it. A superstition told by some of the nomad tribes. She could even have told you how those stories probably arrived, what led to them, all of those kind of things. But she's amused more than anything else to be here, which is what you find quite often talking to her, is that she finds things that you don't think are particularly funny really quite amusing, and you hear the laughter in your mind as she is amused with being surprised, and amused with being on this gateway. But yeah, like Rashid, what she's heard, this kind of fits.
Okay then. In which case, Nabil will probably go inside and try and get a little more to grips with the mechanics of the place, because surely not everyone can pass through here, otherwise, well, it'd be very full. There are an awful lot of deaths and an awful lot of people who are nearly dying. So, yeah, what's up with that?
Sorry, good metaphysical questioning. Okay, I'll deal with you inside once I've dealt with Yazid outside. Right, Anwar, remind me, you were...
He's mainly just talking to the guards.
Oh, that was it. You were talking to Latifah's guards.
Yeah.
They're hanging around. They've moved over kind of closer towards the fountain. They're chatting. They seem quite excited. I will admit I don't have names for the 5 guards.
That's fine.
But yeah, they're very friendly. It's probably a little awkward when you first approach them, given that the last time you saw them, you killed them.
I think nearly all of them.
Yeah. The thing that surprises you the most is how thankful they are. They tell you a little of their story. So their caravan was attacked by a mixture of human bandits and Knoll raiders. Their camels were stolen. they were left in the desert, and the last thing that any of them saw was the bandits heading off with some of the merchants had been captured. The goods had all been taken, but they were just left to basically die of thirst. And Latifah was in command of them, and they are extremely complimentary about Latifah, but her force of personality, her force of will kept them together, but they didn't survive. And it was not a pleasant way to go. They don't really pause on that or linger on that. They move off it quite quickly. So so they tell you of that story, and once they died, they found themselves bound to that place, unable to move, and being kind of a half-life, or not really quite being aware. And when Latifah and her terrible thirst would attack anybody that came too close, they would feel drawn to help her. When you killed them, they were released from that place, and they were able to come here. And while there's a tinge of sadness at not being able to go back, certainly they would rather move on than stay where they were, or to have had the unlife that they had previously.
Mm-hmm.
So they do seem very grateful to you.
And did they drink from the fountain?
Once they arrived, but they flew in. They seemed to unerringly know where to come once they had been killed and they had become Hammer. So they arrived with no shadows. But yes, they have drunk from the fountain since they arrived.
Fair enough. Okay, yep, that's everything, I think.
Oh, you're being difficult. Go to bed, woman. Terribly sorry. Having an argument. I'll mute myself.
Right, Yusef, what were you doing outside? Remind me.
I was just muttering prayers to myself. And
okay. I may come back to you in a minute.
Just strolling around looking at things, not really doing much, just more contemplating.
Okay. Belle, what's Rashid doing outside?
Fairly similar to Yusef.
Just kind of wandering about.
Yeah, more less wandering about, more just taking the area in.
Okay.
Sorry, not extremely exciting.
That's all right. I'm going to go with Yusef, and I'm going to say, Yusef, as you're wandering around, and Yazid goes in with Umar, and Adil. Farida, this tall woman, walked over, and she is really tall. I don't you know how tall Yusef is?
So now you get the technical questions now. 5'10".
Right, she's taller than you, by a fair amount. She is. It's kind of difficult to tell. She's probably in her 50s. She's wearing quite a lot of makeup, and like I say, underneath this veil, you can see this kind of really kind of crimson lipstick. There is a phenomenally powerful scent of jasmine coming off her. And she's got big kind of coal markings around her eyes to make them seem kind of even bigger and darker and mysterious than they already do. And she kind of wanders over to you and introduces herself and says, "So you do not want to drink from the fountain. You want to return."
Yes, I need to return. I have to go and explain my adventures.
Well, I may be able to help you and your friends with that. It would be my pleasure. She seems in all of her mannerisms a little over the top, a little. Yeah, just a bit OTT, but very kind of ingratiating and full on. I may be able to help you with that. I know this area. I've been here forever.
And why have you not left before?
I am here. I have a job to do. This is my home. I live inside the bushes. In amongst the trees.
Must be a strange life.
It is, but you get to meet wonderful people.
Can I say wonderful dead people?
Well, yes,
large turnover. Yeah,
nearly dead and then
yeah,
dead.
yeah.
But such is the way of life here.
But do you get many live people who want to return?
We get many travellers come through. Time is unusual here, but yes, we get many pass through.
Do they come in order of time, or are they mixed up a bit?
Sorry, what was the question?
Do they come in order of time, so in a sequence through the years, or do they get mixed up? Are they turning up at random times?
Oh yes, no, we're not outside of time here. There are those who have gone before, there are those who have gone after, and occasionally there are those like Ali and Aziz who come and take on the roles of guardians.
So your purpose is to help people pass through?
Yes. Yes, I like to help people pass on.
Do you help a lot of people return if they don't want to pass on?
There are not many who are as capable and in state to turn to head on. Most, when they get here, barely have their shadows intact. You have a fine shadow, as do most of your companions.
How long can we stay here before our shadows start to fade?
That depends. The stronger you are out there, the stronger your shadow is here. It will fade over time, but I would say...
So the sooner we go, the better.
I would say you have days. Yes, I would say looking at your shadows, you have days before they fade.
So the sooner the better. We're still left with the same answer.
Well, it's not too far to the barrier.
And which way is it?
Probably best if we talk about it in the morning. I can direct you or show you.
I look forward to seeing the edge of the barrier in the morning.
Yes, I could take you to the barrier.
Is the barrier back out to our original lives and not onto the next life?
No, no. The barrier is what guards the way back. It's not the way that you came, but it is the way back. If you retrace the, so difficult to explain. If you retrace the steps you took, you will not arrive at the barrier. The barrier is onward, but not. You cannot pass on without shadow, with your shadows. Ask a lie. He will tell you. As long as you have shadows, there is nothing to fear. You can always go back.
So can I do an insight check to see if they don't, see if I think she's telling the truth?
You can do an insight check.
Not that's going to do me a lot. 8.
Absolutely.
Sounds
The whole
great.
truth and nothing
Whatsoever.
but the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds great.
Yeah. Okay, I am going to say it's at about this kind of time that Yazid comes out. And Yazid, you really don't. By the time you've had, I look, the spell lasts for a minute, so you've not got a lot there. I would say you probably just about get outside, and you barely have time to cast around, work out where Farida is before the spell starts to fade. You get a sense of curiosity, a sense of that she's thinking about the barrier, and she is thinking about taking you to the barrier. There's something not quite right in what she is in what she's thinking. And just as you home in on it, the spell goes. You can't quite piece it down and work out what it is. You are muted.
Mute myself.
There we
I
go.
muted myself. There
Sorry.
we go. Everyone can hear me. Okay. Right. Okay. Well, I will share that information with everyone else. And I'm then gonna basically go in and I'm gonna go and eat the food and that they've put out.
Okay, so is there anything else that anybody wants to do before the meal?
Nope, not really.
No, can't think of anything.
In which case, I'm aware that I've got a I'm fighting off a cold. James is knackered and needs an early night, and I think Simon said he needed an early night. So what I will say is, you guys are just thinking about heading back in, and Eli calls out to you just as you come in to come and prepare for the meal. And he spreads out the table with large servings of kind of everything that the Oasis has to offer. There are lots of dates, lots of different fruits, both kind of exotic stuff that you've kind of maybe just about heard of, as well as kind of more common fruits. There's mangoes, there's pineapples. You've got some of the birds that were in the trees outside as it's just starting to get dark, fly inside and roost up in the rafters of the building and on some of the wooden poles up there, and they're not really singing, but it's unusual and quite captivating. Occasionally one will break into a little bit of song. And just before the meal begins, Latifa stands up and asks if it would be acceptable for her to sing a song as a way to thank Eli for his hospitality. And we're going to leave it with the words of her song, speaking about the freedom of the caravan riders, the adventure of traveling to wondrous far-off destinations, and the happiness of those who have found what is truly valuable in life under the stars of the desert. And we'll pick up after her song in a fortnight's time.
Cool.
And with that, I shall stop the broadcast.
Are we doing a